And Atlanta chapter members were so thrilled to have you here and to have such incredible, sought-after, professional, accomplished creatives here with us today.
I mean, obviously this is a panel for women in music, so, hooray, we're all women. How did you get started in music, and kind of what led you into the production and engineering path?
Well, I come from a musical family. My mom, she played several instruments. She tried to get me to do like the classical thing, wasn't into it. I was just always surrounded by music, but I knew I didn't want to do like the traditional route because I grew up in South Virginia, so I was heavily influenced by like Timbaland, Missy Elliott, Pharrell, Chad Hugo. So I've always was curious how sound and sonics were made, and I knew I want to be creative. I literally interned at like Thomas Crown Studio, which was Timbaland's studio at the time, and just literally was like a studio rat and just wanted to soak in whatever I could. I'm a student, so I just like to observe other people and just started building my own sound. I guess I like to be a rebel.
Production and working with artists, are they coming to you for a certain vision, or are they coming to you to help them with their vision?
What happens is you record these songs and then say that you have like a chorus that has a lot of backgrounds. So you do the first chorus, and then I'll go, okay, it's time to do the second one. And then the artist literally looks at me like I'm high, like, what? I got to do all that again? I'm like, yeah, it's the second chorus. It's a different emotion here. The song is moving differently now. And they're like, well, can't you cut and paste? And I'm like, but I don't have the emotion of the second chorus in the first chorus. So I think it's like, mind you, I totally understand this is probably just a few ears that are going to hear this, but in the long run, it really makes a difference, because what we're doing by cutting and pasting and moving this and putting it there is we're really cheating you, the listener, of this emotional experience. That's why when you listen to stuff, you guys all think it all sounds like this, it's flatlining, there's no peaks, there's no dynamics.
I think it's so interesting when we learn things as engineers and we talk about gear and we talk about dynamics and we talk about compression, we forget that that doesn't just relate to sonic qualities. There's emotion in dynamics. There's emotion in how we record something. There's emotion in how we treat that recorded audio later as we put together a song. So thank you. I think that's a really important part to remember. You've been known to throw guitars off of cliffs, and I've heard that you've run audio through a pickle. I'm so curious about what kind of pickle it was. But the real question is, what drives you to go through such? Where do you think, I have an idea? What happens if I put this guitar sound through a pickle? Like, where does this come from?
Well, it really started, I guess I was sitting around with some folks at dinner, and we were discussing potato clocks, because you can create an electrical charge from a potato suspended in water, and it, so I was like, well, then potatoes are conductive. Well, why can't you run audio through a potato? So we did, and it was there was a lot of attenuation, but there was a beautiful high shelf on the EQ curve of a potato. Then we tried different other things. We tried hot dog. Hot dogs are pretty flat, but then it was the cheese sausage that was a real revelation. In all seriousness, it was like, well, what is the difference between the regular hot dog and the cheese sausage? And, well, obviously the cheese. So we went straight to the cheese, and I got a piece of Gouda, and we ran the guitar through the Gouda. And this is now you take a solid-state amplifier, and you insert the Gouda between the amp and the speaker. So you're not plugging a guitar directly in, but it's the audio out of the amplifier going through the Gouda. And it's a frickin' great blues tone. Like you couldn't believe it. But it melts quickly, so. Yeah, it's never ending, and so it's easy to be inspired. I feel once you get started, and it also inspires the artist. If you drag this stuff out into a session and you start doing these things, they just get so excited, and then they throw out ideas, and then suddenly, you know, we're wasting days on these stupid things that actually sometimes don't work. But it was worth it. And so I generally, when I set up a session, I'll have extra time at the end of the session for experimentation. I make sure that all the important foundation tracks are finished first, and then we'll have fun with the experiments.
What's up, y'all? This is B.O.B.
This is G-Eazy.
I'm Mo. This is Julia Michaels.
This is Logic. Make sure you subscribe to the Recording Academy channel. Flex.